Hello everyone, this is Wise, and today I will bring to you the truth behind Valentine's Day. Now, to many of us in today's culture, Valentine's Day is a time to spend with our significant other. However, how many of us actually know the truth behind Valentine's Day and why we celebrate it? That right there is what I plan to explore today. Our current idea of Valentine's Day has evolved over the years, and it all started with 3 stories. The first 2 being that of a priest named Valentine, while the third is a pagan holiday. To begin with, the story of the priest, or stories actually, well, it is unclear if these 2 stories are about the same priest or 2 different priests with the same name that also receive sainthood. However, the first story begins with an edict sent out by Claudius II of Rome, saying that all young men are forbidden from marriage until they have surpassed their years of their serving army. That is because Claudius deemed that young men were only fit for military use, and until they have done that, they are not fit for marriage. So, upon hearing this, Valentine said Rome can shove it, and he married people illegally in what would then be underground ceremonies. However, Claudius heard of this and had Valentine arrested. He was then tried and found guilty of treason against Claudius, and therefore was beheaded under Roman law. The second story deals with an imprisoned Valentine, in which he falls in love with a young girl who visits their jail daily. Come find out, it is actually the jailer's daughter. And in his final letter to her, he pours out his love in every aspect that he could think of. And he ends his love letter with these words, "From your Valentine." Words we use today upon sending our own Valentines out to other people. Now the third story goes back to the Roman Republic, back when the pantheon of gods was still around. In this time, during the late winter, they figure about between February 13th and 15th, the people would have a ceremony of romantic persuasion in which a goat would be sacrificed that represented fertility, and a dog would be sacrificed that represented purity. And then the hides of these animals would be cut into strips and soaked in the sacrificial blood. Then the men would carry the strips out into the crowds, lashing out at different women, and any woman who was touched by these strips would be granted the levels of fertility. And this was how they represented and celebrated the goddess Venus, as well as her son Cupid. Sadly, there is very little evidence to support either of the first 2 origin stories of Valentine's Day. While we do have some remnants remaining of the pagan tradition, they are still few and scattered, so it's hard to date the origins of Valentine's Day. Continuing on with Cupid's story, as stated, he comes from the pantheon of Roman gods. In fact, he was the son of Mars and Venus, and he carried with him 2 arrows, or be more precise, 2 types of arrows. One was the golden arrow that we're all familiar with, which upon firing would give the target unbelievable levels of desire and passion. However, the other arrows, which are lesser known, were lead arrows, which would cause the target to flee for its life from whatever pursued it, to which he would quite often use in revenge against Apollo for Apollo's constant mockery of his archery skill. It's not until the Middle Ages when the stories of Cupid and of a Valentine's-like celebration was brought back into existence due to the royal court and their infatuation with romanticism. It was also during this time that knights would give flowers, namely roses, to the maidens of which they fancied. The rose represented both their beauty and their purity. It is also that during this time, the idea of a romantic holiday swept throughout Europe. Another common aspect of Valentine's Day is the chocolate. However, the chocolate did not quite come about until an Englishman by the name of Richard Cadbury, yes, Cadbury and Cadbury's chocolates, revolutionized his own chocolate company in making a chocolate almost drink that was favored throughout all of his clientele. And it is actually him who first produced the heart-shaped boxes that we use today as well. He'd market his chocolate-filled heart-shaped boxes as a way for lovers to express their sentiments to each other. In fact, in the U.S., the most commonly given gift during Valentine's Day is chocolate, followed secondarily by flowers, and thirdly by jewelry. For it is also during this time that many people propose to their intended others. However, my personal suggestion would not be to do this time because it is very cliche. Also, there's a lot of babies born in November and December for a reason. Do the math. You may find out some very interesting stuff. Possibly about your own birthday. It is also believed that in the early 1700s, the first handmade valentines were also exchanged. And then in the 1940s, a woman named Esther A. Howland began a mass production of Valentine's cards. And that actually led to the cards we know today, most often made by Hallmark. It is estimated that about 1 billion Valentine's Day cards are sent every year. That is the most Valentine's cards sent for a single holiday, except for Christmas, which is estimated to be about 2.6 billion. Also, statistics show that women purchase approximately 85% of all Valentines. Really, dudes? Come on, guys. What's with that? Don't you want to make your significant other feel special too? I mean, come on. I know in Japan they have St. White's Day, where the guy will give the girl or guy something white to show his affection for her, and then in return, if she shares the feeling, she will return the gift with chocolate on Valentine's Day, which I actually kind of prefer over the European style of just one day being like all emotional. I mean, here you actually have time to think about whether you want to respond or not, while with the way we do it, you may have a couple seconds to a minute. I mean, it's not very practical, but I don't do culture customs. That is designed by the masses, not the individuals. However, we do have an effect on the masses. There's an idea for all you up-and-coming political leaders or social leaders. One of the first uses of the term Valentine's Day was actually used by Chaucer in some of his works, and then later by Charles, Duke of Orleans in 1415, and then later by none other than William Shakespeare himself. So, just so the common belief that Valentine's Day was created just so chocolate companies and card companies could have a second big boom in between Christmas and Easter is pretty much untrue. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and like always, if you like it, stay tuned for more. This is Wise Wolf, and I'll see you next time.